Hello, and thanks for joining us here for this Kickstarter conniption. Today we're looking at magical friends and how to summon them from Shelfbuster Games.
And we want to make sure you're aware that our Kickstarter conniption videos are sponsored in part by our Kickstarter backers, as well as by the creators of this game. Here we go. Hey gang, thanks for joining us at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows. Today we're looking at magical friends and how to summon them. This is from designer Clemens Luger and art from Hannah Flattinger and Transkiet Van Home.
This is a 2 to 4 player strategic movement game that takes about an hour to play. We were given this prototype copy to check out. The purpose of our video is not to share any critiques or opinions, but to give you an idea of what it looks like on the table and how to play it. So let's jump in and do that now.
To set up the game, you'll put out the main boards and populate them with cards, tiles, and dice.
You'll give each player their player board and reference card, their deck of artifact cards, and their hearts.
You set the round marker and determine a start player, and then you're ready to begin.
Each round, players will bid for turn order, starting with the first player. Players cannot bid using the same value card as another player for the round, and they won't get these cards back either.
Once turn order is determined, the active player will select a summon card from the available choices.
The cards will allow them to summon a specific magical friend, which will be placed onto their starting position. It will determine the number of movement that they get for the round, and it will have ongoing magical abilities that players can take advantage of during the game.
Powers allow players to do things like move other characters, multiply their numbers, or slay other characters and take their hearts as a trophy.
Players will have a number of choices on how they would like to travel to their final destination. Some paths are shorter, but present potential dangers. The scenic route will take you longer, but may reward you for your time.
After everyone has taken a turn, the first player marker goes to the next player. The round marker advances, and during certain rounds, board effects will take place.
At the end of the 8th round, the player to have collected the most hearts will gain an extra friend, and then the player to have summoned the most friends wins. In the game Magical Friends and How to Summon Them, players each act as a mage who is trying to summon some magical creatures and get them to the tavern at the end of the board. The player who is able to prove that they have the most friends will win the popularity contest and the game.
Yes, there will be a giant party at the end of the game, so you're trying to get as many of your friends there, but there are multiple paths to move those friends on, and it may be advantageous to go different routes depending on the types of friends that you have. So planning out those moves based on the summons cards that you get and that movement for the round will be key.
So players are going to bid on turn order at the beginning of the game. The cards that they bid with are numbered 1 to 11, and they only get to play them once during the course of the game. Some of the cards will have different powers, like they'll give them wand charges that they can use to power up the cards that they've already collected, or it may give them additional footprints that they can use to move their characters further along on the board.
Yes, and as they move their characters, there are certain spaces on the board that allow them to do extra things. Some of those can be dependent on how you set up your map. There's some different choices of how that map gets set up at the beginning, so you might be playing some variability along the way. And then there are places like stopping and getting some pity points, power cards along the way, or stopping along that fairy path to get some pixie dust to help your movement to get to the tavern at the end of the board.
Those cards are pretty handy in the game. They'll give you those extra steps that sometimes you need just to get across the finish line. However, those pixie dust cards will actually have a consequence as well. They give you 3 footprints, which is super nice, but they also poison your character. If your character is poisoned, you flip over the heart to notify the other players that they've been poisoned. If they get poisoned a second time, that character dies, and then that heart goes to, if it was an opponent that killed you, goes to your opponent, and they'll collect those as trophies at the end of the game.
Yes, those cards that you get, the friend cards that you are summoning each round, there's a wide variety of powers available on the cards. Some of them do require magic to do that ability. Some of them are evil characters, some of them are neutral characters, some of them are good characters. And so those powers will vary depending on what type of friends you take on during the game.
Right, and then throughout the course of the game, as you're on those different board locations, locations, there will be different things, as we've mentioned. In some places, you might be using a portal to summon other characters to catch up to you, which is a great way to move fast in the game, but it kind of means you got one guy hanging back there just marking the spot. They might give you a catapult, which would allow you to launch your characters further or to land on bad guys and hurt them, our opponents. Some of the spots will trigger other areas on the board and may cause them to straight up die, or at least change the situations as to what's going on in that space, maybe allowing a evil character to be able to kill other characters more easily, or a good character to slip through without being entangled in anything. A lot of different strategic choices throughout the course of the game, and as you go throughout the course of the game, you're going to be getting more characters and more characters to keep track of throughout the game, so it does have a nice little learning pace curve, as on your first turn, I just have one character to worry about, and then by the time I get to my 8th turn, I've got 8 potential characters out on the board I got to try to get into that tavern at the end of the game.
Yeah, if this sounds like something you're interested in, you can check out Magical Friends and how to summon them. And as always, we thank you for liking our videos here and subscribing to Tantrum House. We get it on?
I think so. Did it! Magic! Hey guys!
Whoa. We're looking at Magical Friends and how to summon them. This is from designers Clemens.
Man, I had the great hand motions and everything.
Sorry, this is how to summon them. This is from designers. Can't do that.
Can't do it.
Trans Kiet Van Ho. You're messing me up.